20,000 members. People are posting videos of support here. It's a way for Lee's wife to communicate with everyone about how he's doing throughout the day. People are posting photos in their military uniforms, telling stories about how Lee has helped them, and it's really helping Lee and his wife just keep up with all the support.
Say good morning.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Lee Hernandez answered his call to serve.
Thank you for your service, man.
His wife, Ernestine, answers hers
You want to take a phone call from New York?
by answering yours.
From one veteran to another, thank you.
Listen, you wanted a phone call. Now you got so many phone calls. Your phone just can't stop ringing. Look.
Lee retired.
All right, so if you just saw that first clip, you just saw this. This is KXAN, one of the, I believe, CBS affiliates that did the story on Lee Hernandez in New Brunswick, Texas, just outside of San Antonio, Texas. Lee is somebody that I served with in Iraq, in Al-Assad, Iraq. We were stationed together. We came out of San Antonio, Texas, to the 340th Quartermaster Company, and I have several pictures of Lee. And this story was ran about 7 years ago now, and this was covered by CBS, NBC, USA Today. You pretty much covered the entire media spectrum, and they covered this story about Lee Hernandez, and they made this all about his dying wishes, that you needed to call and let them know that, you know, you were thinking about him and stuff. Here's the funny thing. Lee Hernandez, after 7 years, is still alive. Yes, he's had multiple strokes. Yes, he is in a wheelchair. Yes, he is pretty much limited by all his physical limitations because of the series of strokes and surgeries that he's had. He's been under hospice care multiple times. I've talked to Ernestine on the Facebook group, the Team Lee American Heroes Support group that's on Facebook, that was created from this story being ran. And again, this is what makes this interesting is I am a disabled Army veteran. I went through all this same stuff. While all this was going on, I was connecting with other vets. I was trying to tell other people about this story. I was going on Twitter. I posted about the story on Lee, and I had responses from Hollywood celebrities. I had Clint Eastwood thanking me for my service. I had, Dean Cain thanking me for my service and telling me God bless and hope you're the best. I had all these things. And what's happened ever since then is insane when you actually know everything that's been going on with social media the last couple of years. This has directly impacted my life in a major way. I have been seriously impacted by this in ways that most people would never understand. I got onto the whole social media thing because of people like Lee. I wanted to help other vets. I wanted to bring our stories to the public. I wanted to show people what it was like when we were deployed in Iraq together. I wanted people to see the part that they never got to see before, that you don't get to see when you're just a civilian, or that you see all this stuff through Hollywood, where they portray us as a bunch of robots with no minds and no soul. And that this is not the way the military is. I can guarantee you, I'm not the only person in my family who's a military veteran. I come from a long line of veterans. My grandfather was in the Army. My father was in the Navy. My brothers were also in Army, Navy. Even my sister is married to a man who was deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was also in the Army. I have cousins that served in the Army, and another cousin who served in the Marines. So military has been a major part of my life, and I have taken a lot of blows from a lot of different people. I have been called a child murderer. I have been told that I should go kill myself. I have been heard so many times how me, my friends, my family, we should all go kill ourselves. And we're not just talking about people just randomly saying some evil things. We're talking about this was posted on Twitter. This is what I got every single day for months and months on Twitter, I was told you should go kill yourself. You're a child murderer. You're a racist. They would call me all sorts of names and tell me how awful I was. Same thing happened on Facebook. I got chased off of Facebook because a person by the name of Christopher Blair, and I want anybody who doesn't believe me about any of this stuff to go Google it. Google Christopher Blair, look up Washington Post and the BBC's articles that they wrote on Christopher Blair about how he was making these fake news articles. What he calls is satire is actually targeted harassment. What they do is he gets people to share these things knowing that they're fake news and then goes after those people's accounts, doxes them, goes after their businesses, gets them shut down, contacts employers and gets people fired. I went through all of this. I have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of screenshots taken directly from Facebook showing these people just maliciously going after Trump, going after his supporters, going after conservatives, talking about how they're going to beat them. Antifa supporters who have things like, you should kill your senator or your congressman. I've got images that I can show you all of this. I have it all on my Instagram right now. And because of this person, they kept reporting my account saying how I was the one attacking them. So my account kept getting flagged. And for a year, I went through this. For 30 days, I would get suspension. And right after suspension, I get suspended again. And right after that, I get suspended again. And after a year of going through this, I deleted my account that I had when I created it when I came back from Iraq in 2005. With a friend of mine who lived right across the street got me onto it. A guy named Danny, rest in peace. I had to find out that Danny died from my mother because a friend of mine had to contact her to get a hold of me to let me know that Danny had passed away. And that I can never get back. Nobody can give that back to me. Mark Zuckerberg can never give that back to me. He knows what was going on. He ignored it. I sent screenshots not only to Mark Zuckerberg, but the COO of Facebook, and they ignored me. And this is why I have this all posted up on Instagram. So if anybody wants to question me, go look at my Instagram account. You can scroll down these pictures and you will see all the things that Christopher Blair posted. You will see what these people were posting online over and over again. Not just on Facebook, not just on Twitter. This has affected me directly. And what's really made me upset was I wanted to help vets. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to get this story more out there. I wanted people to see what Lee was like before he had all these strokes. That's why I made videos on YouTube. I have a couple of different videos that feature pictures of Lee Hernandez in this. I have dedicated my life to trying to help people in the best way that I possibly can. And I'm a disabled military veteran. I have not been able to work in several years. I stopped working in 2017 was the last time I had a job. I got put on long-term disability, and eventually I was able to get the VA to approve my disability. But it took me 7 years of doing that, fighting and trying to get my full benefit amount. While people were completely destroying any connection that I had with people like Lee Hernandez's group. I was a part of that group on Facebook. I'm one of the reasons that his pictures from Iraq are on that website right now, because they're the pictures I took personally. I took those pictures of Lee. And it really upsets me that there is no problem with the way these social media groups treat us. It's not just Facebook. It's not just Twitter. It's not just YouTube. It's subreddit. And it's Twitch. And now it's Kick. It's all these same social media that just allows people to be targeted for harassment. And it's just for having certain opinions. And again, all I've wanted to do was help vets. I have been homeless. I have gone through struggles. I'm going through other struggles right now. I got a girlfriend who's in a rehab facility for physical rehab because she took a bad fall and she already has multiple sclerosis and a major autoimmune disease that's super rare that she had to get diagnosed at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, where we used to live. And we lived in the heart of that city in DeKalb County. I have been watching this go on and on and on and on for years. I am totally behind Donald Trump going after every single one of these social media companies, and none of them should be given this lightly. Not Mark Zuckerberg, not Jack Dorsey, who allowed all that stuff on Twitter. I have posts that I can show you on Twitter where people were talking about how it was a video of a father being reunited with his son after he'd been on deployment, and somebody decided to tag at the top of it, "This is what people do when they come back from killing kids in other countries." And nobody at Twitter took that down. Nobody at Twitter saw there was anything wrong with that. They let that stay posted, and even when I brought it to their attention, they went after me, a disabled military army veteran who has PTSD, who has TBI, who has been diagnosed also at the Emory University Hospital through their veterans program, that I have these conditions. And it took me years to do all that. This has affected every part of my life for over 7 years now. I can't use Twitter. My account's still suspended on Twitter. I haven't been able to use that in the longest time. But the interesting part was, after my account had been unsuspended after like 3 years, I had 2,000 followers in less than 2 weeks. That's because I know how to talk to people. I can talk to somebody. I don't care if it's James Woods, who allowed me to share some pictures with him that I took while deployed and stuff, or Dean Cain telling me how much they appreciate my service, or how about Jeffrey Dean Morgan putting out a tweet in support of Lee. When this whole thing occurred, he put out a tweet, and if Jeffrey Dean Morgan is watching this, or anybody else can send him this video, I want to tell you, sir, thank you very much. There's so much crap going on in this world, and we need more people like you that are willing to at least show the support for people like my buddy Lee here. I talk to Ernestine all the time. I knew every admin in that group. I can't use Facebook anymore, though. I had to delete my account. I had hundreds of pictures on there that I put on there publicly so people could send it to their friends and family, so there wasn't a chance that they wouldn't be able to see those pictures that I had posted up there. So that's why I put them on Facebook like that. I had over 300 images that I took from Iraq alone. It was so people could see these images of their loved ones. I've had friends of mine that have passed away now, and their families reached out to me to tell me, "Hey, we'd really like to see those photos that you took of our son or a brother or whoever it was in their relationship, and ask me, will you please send us these images, because we'd love to have them for, say, a funeral or a memorial." And I was honored to be able to be asked for any of these things, to know that other people got to see those pictures I took of these heroes. And I call them heroes not just because of what I've seen, what they've done, but I know their hearts. I know who these people are. More than a lot of other people might even think. I had discussions all the time with people in this company while deployed. We would sometimes talk for hours and hours into the night about our families and about our dreams and our goals and the kind of things that we would want to do. And you learn more about these people, and they become more and more of not just like a coworker, but they become your family. These are my brothers, my sisters. I take that very, very seriously. That these are people that no matter what they think, no matter how they feel about me, I will always see every single one of them as a brother or a sister to me. We might not be talking. There might be a lot of dysfunctional stuff in it. But they are still family. They are my brothers, my sisters, and there's nothing that I wouldn't do for any of them. I just talked to one of them just a couple of days ago that I hadn't talked to in years, and he reminded me again that I have this power to be able to communicate with certain people that other people just don't seem to have. That it doesn't matter how, you look, or, your political affiliations, or where you came from. I grew up in New Mexico. The town I grew up in was about a 90% Hispanic ratio. I grew up in that my entire life. Minutes from the southern border in El Paso, Texas, where a lot of my friends and stuff also live. I know multiple people there right now who are dealing with the things that are going on in that southern border. And that's another issue I'm not going to go fully into right now, but I'm very, very concerned about. It has affected my friends. It has affected my family. These are things that should be concerns of every American citizen, especially those people who end up representing us. And when you end up doing things like providing a sanctuary for criminals, you really need to be removed from office. There should be no more questioning this anymore. Anybody who is a United States representative, who gets paid by American tax dollars, who gets elected to be representatives of a certain group of people in the United States, if they are harboring fugitives of the law, and that is exactly what you're doing when you violate our federal immigration laws to harbor, fugitives and criminals. And that's why we have Trade Agua in everywhere from New York City to Colorado to all these other towns and stuff throughout the United States. And I guarantee you, you people are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Because if you know anything about these cartels, they are a lot smarter than anybody gives them credit for. You will not see half of the things that they're pulling because they don't want you to see those things. They try to make sure they stay hidden. But even then, you've got people like Tommy G on YouTube, who's going out there and he talks to these people like he talked to one of the coyotes in El Paso, Texas, who work for the cartels, who's sitting there and explaining to him how this whole border situation literally changed overnight when the administration took over under this Biden administration, who it's a bunch of criminals. I don't care what you say. This was the most criminal administration I have ever seen in my lifetime, and I think anybody's lifetime in the United States. We are in a serious crisis in the United States when it comes to so many of these issues. Don't talk to me about Latinos. I grew up around a bunch of them. I have plenty of people that I know personally that I don't look at any differently because they're Latino, or that my girlfriend is Puerto Rican and her family is Puerto Rican and they grew up in New York. So they know what that's also like to be around diverse people, to actually understand what it's like to see people from other perspectives. And it's one of the things that I'm honored that I got to see all that while I was in the Army, where I got to truly experience diverse thoughts and ideas from people from all over the country, literally from one side of it to the other. I know people to this day. I know plenty of people who served in other wars. I know people that served in Vietnam and Korea. And it's just insane to me that a vet like me has to explain to people who should know better that we are in an absolute crisis here. And I'm not even allowed to talk about these things anymore. I'm shut down on Twitter. I'm shut down on Facebook. And right now, yeah, I'm being censored by YouTube. And I guarantee you, I'm going to make sure every single piece of evidence that I've been holding on to for years is going to come out in the courts. You hear me, YouTube? You better be prepared. because I'm going to make sure my entire state, every representative in my state, backs me up in making sure that YouTube will never have the right to infringe on our freedoms in our constitutional republic. And you have done it over and over and over again, and you can get the fuck out of the United States, because you don't belong here if you don't like our freedoms. We are a constitutional republic. Get it through your thick skulls. When you remove stuff, you infringe on those very rights that we fought for. When you censor us vets, all you do is piss us off more, and you make sure that we will take it, and we will show you just exactly how little your entire company, I don't care who it is in YouTube, your entire company is absolutely nothing that we can't get rid of in a heartbeat. You can be replaced by a way better platform that understands the freedoms that it gets in our constitutional republic. And while you were hiding behind 230 protections that allowed you to basically get away with anything you want, those days, YouTube, are over. They're not coming back. You are not going to hold that kind of power here again. And I guarantee you, when Donald Trump just announced it the other day, he was talking to you. He was talking to Zuckerberg. He was talking to all these people who are running these social media companies. You better start getting prepared, because you are going to find out that when you mess with people's freedoms, we are going to push back. I have contacted USAA. I have contacted them more than once. I have told them that I want to get in touch with the board of directors, and I will bring every single vet that I possibly can. And where USAA is located is where I deployed out of Fort Sam Houston, San Antonio, Texas in 2004. And I was deployed for a year in Iraq from 2004 to 2005. I have plenty of friends I know there, not just in San Antonio, but in Austin and in Lubbock. And like I said, El Paso, and multiple other locations all over that state, all over New Mexico, all over Arizona, all over California. I was born in Oregon. I know people there too, and in Washington. You can go from state to state to state, and there's probably at least a small group of people I know personally in those states. So I have seen everything that's been going on here. And this whole thing with politicizing and turning against people for having the common sense and the common decency, and you vilify them and you turn them into these monsters, is one of the most disgusting social conformist. This goes basically directly in line with what Dr. Stanley Milgram performed experiments multiple decades ago when he wanted to understand what made certain people say, I was just following orders. And that's exactly why those experiments were performed. And it's exactly also why Dr. Philip Zimbardo from the Stanford University experiment, you can look this one up too, it's all about how we also conform to be in these certain roles. And you have created these roles. The media has created these roles. CNN, it's disgusting the way you treat American people and talk down to them. What have any of you people done sitting in a newsroom? Most of you don't have the researching skills. I'm shocked anybody ever gave you a college degree being that mentally stupid. Because you are. You all sound stupid when you talk down about the American people who have done more than any one of you have done in your entire lifetimes. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of us who have sacrificed, who have actually made important things in our life We have had to sacrifice them because we serve this country. You don't know what you're talking about, just like you didn't know what you were talking about in Iraq. That's why we laughed at you while we were deployed, because we were like, man, how can people who say they're part of the media could be this stupid? Because you don't know what you're talking about. You hear something, you live in echo chambers, and you just hear the same crap that you want to hear. Because you never step out of your bubbles. Get out of your social media bubbles. Get out of the newsroom. Talk to normal human beings and talk to them like normal human beings. Find a common ground. Find that we're not all that different. That we want to see a lot of the same things. We want to see a better, prosperous future for the United States in general. We don't want people coming across this border anymore. We want to feel more secure and safe in our country. And people here should feel safe and secure in our country. But when you are doing things like, let's just make sure the border's open, and then on top of it, we're going to allow cartels to basically take over our cities, sell drugs that kill American citizens, cause terrorism in the United States, cause all this strife and conflict, while you sit there and cheer for one side who is the cause of all of this. You cannot sit there and tell me that Biden and Harris are innocent in this. Neither one of them are innocent in this. Both of them should be charged for treason. No excuses on this. Same thing for any single one of you representatives in the United States. That means you represent the people. The people make a contract with you by paying taxes. That's where your salaries come from. You don't get to do that when it's people here that are not paying your salaries. They're not paying those taxes. They're not the ones that are contributing to American society. So when you give those benefits to them and you sit there and turn around and tell the people that just got hit by those hurricanes that you don't have money for them because you provided it to a bunch of people who were here illegally. You broke the law, and there will be consequences coming for you all. You need to all start getting your heads out of your rears. Start waking up to what's going on. Start listening to the American citizens. Get out of your echo chambers. Get off Twitter. Get off Facebook. Get off subreddit. Get off of these social media networks that only have these hive minds, because that is exactly what you all have created. Hive minds that don't actually know what you're talking about. You're not informed. You're not the most educated. You are not experienced in life to talk down to people who have done way more than you. That really goes for Sandy Cortez. You need to shut your mouth, little girl. You were a bartender prior to this. You did not do anything that Tom Homan did for years and years on the southern border and making sure that our country was secure. So you don't get to talk down to him. You don't get to talk down to people who have done more than you will ever do in your entire lifetime, little girl. And yes, you are a little spoiled brat in my mind. You're a poorly educated, insufferable little brat. I don't care what position you think you have, little brat, because you are a representative, a servant to the American public, and you literally only represent a tiny fraction of that in New York City. You have a certain district. You get your nose out of everything else. You don't save the planet. You don't do anything else in America. And I think you need to be censured if you are going to talk about these things anymore. Because none of them are your responsibility. None of them were you elected for or put in that position of authority or power for. You are a small person, period. but you represent a tiny fraction of the entire population of the city of New York. That is where your job lies. You don't get to talk about anything else, especially when it comes to things like technology. I'm a technologist. This is literally what I learned in college. I know way more on this subject than you will ever know, little girl, because you've never done any of those things. You don't know about photovoltaic cells, or known as solar panels. You don't know about wind turbines. I doubt you understand the physics behind what even creates those kinds of energy. So don't talk about them anymore. You don't get to tell us what to do. You are the public servant. You serve us. I might not pay taxes, and I might not be in New York City, but you are still a servant to me, because I served this country when you have not done any of that. You haven't even served the people who you are supposed to represent. I am very heated about this because this has been going on for years and years and years and years. And yes, it has impacted me in major ways. I have lost so much communication from so many different people because of all this garbage. And I'm still dealing with the same stupid garbage that I had to deal with over 4 years ago. So it's got to end. We need to get back to common sense. We need to get people to start talking together, because I want you all to listen to something very, very carefully. If you don't listen to anything else I have to say in this video, listen to me now. When it comes to people infighting, when it comes to people having conflicts, especially when one side has been villainized, demonized, mischaracterized, slandered, and defamed in every sort of way imaginable, all you're going to do is you're going to cause a problem to a point where communication stops. And do you understand what happens when communication stops between two infighting groups? That's when the shooting starts. That's when violence happens. That's when people get hurt. Because people aren't even willing to talk to each other. They're not willing to try to work things out. They just know, I hate this person. I don't know why I hate this person, but because they voted for this person, or they had this kind of belief, or they had this thought. Happens all the time. You can't even go on a YouTube comment section without seeing somebody in there who's going to sit there and rant and rave like a 4-year-old, telling everybody else how stupid and awful they are because they have difference of opinions. We have to get back to reasonable logic. We need to be able to have civil discussions. We need to be able to have debates. Debates do not mean you shout down the other person and tell them why you know everything and your points are the only ones that matter. That is not a debate. A debate comes from facts. It needs to be grounded in reality. And you basically go back and forth from both sides until you basically can find a common ground. Or at least come to an agreement to some point of what you're arguing. None of you know how to do that. I have never seen such poorly educated people who don't understand how debating works, how to be reasonable, how to be logical, how to be compassionate, how to show empathy, how to try to see things from outside their own limited perspectives and use critical thinking. One of the most important things we need to start emphasizing is critical thought needs to be taught and applied from before you ever get into college. Because college is where you're probably going to use it the most, but you need to know these things before you ever get there. Like a young man I just recently saw who was having to fight not only his teacher, but all the students because they were sitting there and talking about how awful Trump supporters were, saying we should be able to have disagreements on things, but then sit there and say, but I automatically made a judgment of 75 million people on this country to call them indecent, to think that they are awful people just because they chose Donald Trump as their president. He is not the problem. The media is the problem. Social media is the problem. People not being able to have open dialogue is the problem. Colleges should never be shutting down where people are having discussions like this. Happens all the time. They love to show up and shout people down. How many times have they done this? Look it up. I guarantee you Turning Point knows. I guarantee you James O'Keefe knows. I guarantee you that there's plenty of other people out there that can tell you that they have received all of it and they've seen it for themselves, that you cannot have reasonable, logical discussions with people who are just screaming at you and they throw temper tantrums. And that is exactly what this behavior looks like, including you people at CNN, including you people at MSNBC. You people look like you're having temper tantrums. You need to grow up. You need to find out that if you're going to be journalists have to have two important things: credibility and integrity. And neither of these are things that I could say CNN or MSNBC shows from any of the anchors or anyone in those studios anymore. You don't show credibility. You didn't just destroy Trump. You did this to the Covington High School kids. You slandered them. You might have gone after one particular kid, but you went after them, and you did it in such a malicious way that it not only caused a way that other people started thinking about them in that negative way, but you literally had people from Disney, the producer of Disney, putting a tweet out about throwing those kids into a wood chipper. Let's have a little reminder on that little story. This was the producer of the Beauty and the Beast live action remake who said, throw them all into the wood chipper, Trump hats first. That's sick. That is seriously mentally disturbed. And yet Disney did nothing to that person. They didn't even reprimand them. But yet when Gina Carano warns people, what we've seen in history, we've seen certain groups go after other groups, demonize those groups, and then it ends up having really, really bad repercussions in the end that we're seeing right now. The same thing she warned was going to happen. Disney fired her for that. Why did she get fired for that? When all she was trying to point out was, this is what we've seen in history. This is called pattern recognition. When you're repeating the same things that have happened in the past that failed, you're going to end up doing the same thing again. And it will fail, and people will be hurt, and it's never going to bridge the divide that is happening in the United States. We will never get beyond all of this. It, again, is not just Trump. This was never just about Trump. And 75 million other people out there just voted for him, proving this was never just about Trump. We are all concerned. This concerns every single one of us as citizens in this country. We need to realize and get back to being logical, reasonable, rational adults. Start acting like adults again. Start acting like you have common sense, common decency, human experience, and empathy for each other. Even if you don't like what someone has to say, you can at least come to a point to say, we can agree to disagree. Because that's what we used to do for the longest time. Now you can't do that. If you disagree with me, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you're a homophobic, you're a whatever name, label thing you want to put on it. None of it's true. It is just a way for you to project what you believe and assume from living inside of your echo chambers and bubbles, living and hearing and validating each other. Well, yeah, they're all a bunch of Because that's what you've been told. You don't know anything better than that. So that is what your beliefs are. But reality is nothing like what you believe it is. This world has so many good people in it. There are people who are more compassionate than you can possibly imagine. I have done things myself that most people will never believe that I've ever done. Not just my service to the country, but even when I lived in New Mexico, things that we used to do was go down to Mexico, and we used to take kids' toys to the orphanages on Christmas. And in my high school days, me, my brothers, and my sister, we all went with the youth group, and we built a homeless shelter for people who really needed it. So we got a lot more experience from all that. I also lived in a homeless shelter when I was a kid. My entire family for a year lived out of a homeless shelter in Frederick, Maryland. And it was a way that I learned more about people in that time than probably any other point in my life, because you really saw what people are like, especially the ones that are most down on their luck or financially struggling or dealing with some other issues that other people can't understand. We need to get back to being logical, reasonable, rational people. We need to have a social media companies get away from infringing on any rights of our Constitution, especially our right to speech. It is one of our most fundamental, most important rights that we need to protect. And we need to have companies like this held accountable when they end up violating those. So I'm going to end this video here. I had planned on showing more of the videos there. If you guys want to see more about Team Lee, or you want to see more about Lee himself, I've got other videos on here. You will see a couple of different, if you actually go to the videos where I've uploaded from the pictures I took in Iraq, it's just a slideshow. I did it on Blender many years ago. You will see under the description multiple links from USA Today, ABC, CBS, NBC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I think the New York Times did a story on it too. All these companies did this story on Lee about his dying wishes, who again is still alive today 7 years later after all those stories died down, and they feel all better about themselves. Well, Lee and his wife are still dealing with the same problems. They're still dealing with the same issues years and years later. Yeah, they've got some more people that are at least more supportive and stuff, which that's great, but they're still going through the same issue that they were before, and it's not getting any better. And Lee is just a small example of what I've seen over and over and over again. I've seen it in Atlanta. I've seen it here in Arkansas. I saw it in New Mexico. I've seen it in Texas. All these same issues are everywhere. It's not a single issue kind of thing. It is something that is affecting thousands, hundreds of thousands. And there's so many vets that are living on the streets right now. I've talked to many of them. They're out there begging on the streets or dying in the streets. Most of them are just giving up on life. They can't take it anymore. They don't want to fight anymore. They don't want to try to do anything anymore because they feel like nothing they do, it matters or will make any bit of a difference. I want to help vets. That's what I wanted to do from the very beginning. I enjoyed it. I helped more than just Lee and these families with the pictures and stuff. I had another female veteran who started a GoFundMe because her vehicle broke down while she was doing a move, and she had all of her kids with her, and an axle broke on the moving vehicle. And I put that up on the Team Lee. I got a whole lot of flack from people telling me, well, you can't put a GoFundMe up here. And I'm like, well, this is a female soldier who also served with Lee. Luckily, one of those people in that group saw that post and was able to help that female and get her on her way. They helped get the vehicle fixed. They helped, house them for a day or two while everything was being repaired, and got them on their way. And that's the kind of thing that I think social media can do that is positive. I want to do things more like that. I know social media can do positive things because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen that it can have positive, good changes for other people when it's utilized properly. But when you have people in control who don't care about freedoms, they don't care about what is posted against somebody else. Like I said, there were dozens of posts I can show from Facebook that were public that should have never been. That if I was ahead of the FBI, I would have ended up getting every one of these account information, and I would be charging them for terrorist threats, because that's exactly what some of these were. Terrorist threats to representatives of this country. Plenty of them towards Donald Trump. Ones with him showing him in a coffin, or somebody having like a bird pecking his eyes out, or him blowing his own brains out. This is sick. This is mentally disturbed, and we have got to get a tamper on all of this. This is psychologically horrifying that we have even gotten to this point where this has been allowed for so long. Before I end this video, I want to show one thing here. I'm going to turn this around real quick to show you. So this is in my office. Now, you might have seen this picture on my account right now, but I want everybody to know this was a gift to me from a friend that I met through Twitter, who also had a family member who served in the military. And we got along really good while I still had my Twitter account before I became suspended again. And he wanted to honor me, and he created this digital image with my face. That is my actual face. And he created this for me. And this is just printed up on metal now, and I absolutely love this thing. It stays in my office, and it's something I'm seriously happy with. But I can't think of his name right now. Charlie. I can't think of his last name at the moment. But yeah, I mean, just meeting him and just meeting good people like that is why I have this, and why I proudly display it, why it's my avatar image instead of like a regular picture of me, because I like this. It's like representative of me, but a little bit, little fantasy, little steampunk, whatever you want to say. But this is important to me because this was just a very honestly sweet gift from somebody who just wanted to be kind and just show their appreciation for not only my service, but just to being a friendly person to them. Who, when I didn't even have that many people, I was telling other people to go check out his account on Twitter. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, because this has probably been the longest rant I've ever done on any kind of video like this before. But I really think it's important that we get a tamper on these social media companies. I really want to get back into what I was doing before. I really want to help other veterans. If you guys see this, send this to another vet. Send this to other companies. If you are somebody who is also a customer of USAA, just like I am, let them know that I'm not the only person that feels this way. That if YouTube is going to infringe on the very rights that military vets all took an oath and swore to defend with our very lives, why would a company that is literally for vets, why would they give this same company a dime more in ad revenue that comes from us, the vets? Why am I going to pay a company to keep me censored in my own country, who controls more of my rights than I do? Why would I support that? Why would anybody support that? Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this was a long rant. I know that this is this wasn't like any video I've ever done before on here, and I probably won't make a whole lot of videos like this again or anything, but this is very important to me. This has become more and more of an issue that I think about almost every single day of my life. It has affected me directly in so many different ways. I can't get those things back that I've lost. I'll probably never be able to, even if I got back on Twitter, I'll probably never have those 2,000 people who were already following me, or any of those blue check marks that were following me, or the people from the media, or hell, I had politicians following me. I don't remember all their names or anything, but I was shocked to find it myself that it was like, wow, this person's a senator. Oh, wow, this person's a congressman. Don't know why they're following me. Appreciate it, but I can't get those things back now. Those were taken away and I cannot get them back. So if you're seeing this video, spread it around. This is important stuff. I hope to God somebody over there at, not just at YouTube, but at USAA, I hope everybody in the Trump administration here is watching what's going on here, because this is something that I have been seeing myself, that I have been involved with myself, that I have been censored for myself. I have gone through all of the things and seen it for my own eyes that yes, they do censor. Yes, they do control speech. Yes, they only want certain people to be able to talk so they can keep their little echo chambers and keep it the way that things have been for so long and has been a disastrous failure. Thank you again for watching this video, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. To all my veteran friends out there, a happy belated Veterans Day, because this is the day after. But I really want to wish you all that I hope you had a good one, that you spent it with your families and your loved ones, and they got to tell you how much they appreciate your service and your sacrifices, because I know what those sacrifices were myself, and I appreciate every single one of you, even if you hate me, even if you think that I don't like you or any of that kind of stuff. None of it's true. I have no animosity towards anyone out there. I love you all, and you will all be a part of my family forever. Thank you again for watching, guys. Have a great day.